We had listed soon after, and I think some of you contacted my office, but I believe I submitted from my office January 12th, some of the minority report's recommendations. Any policy recommendation must discuss the core problem with Missouri's current clean water policy, the lack of real-time testing system to notify the public about the elevated bacteria levels. Governor Nixon's lake cleanup proposal should be seriously considered. In brief, the proposal seeks to deal with what is most likely the main cause of high levels of E. coli contamination at the lake, faulty septic tanks. Require the adoption of a plumbing code in counties with a water of state that borders and runs through the state or national park. The Department of Natural Resources, as we all know, lacks the financial resources to properly ensure water quality in Missouri. All state agencies, including the Department of Natural Resources, should be required to provide additional and enhanced sunshine law training. The public good would be well served by requiring better communication between DNR and the Department of Health with regard to the water testing. And all test results regarding public health and safety should be reported in a timely, efficient, uniform manner, regardless if the results are normal or elevated.
Well, before we get to your questions, the main thing I want to say is that unfortunately it appears that this majority report on this committee could have been written last September, October. The interviews and investigations and committee hearings didn't have any bearing, and the facts that came out over the past few months didn't have any bearing on what was written in the report. So I am sorely disappointed that a committee of the Senate chose to deal with a serious issue in such a politically blatant, partisan way, and to ignore the time-honored respect and courtesy of the Senate to try to work together. We have a serious issue at the Lake of the Ozarks with water quality. I've known for 20 years, and I think we really do need to have a real-time testing program so the public can have some confidence in the water. But this process and this report in no way addresses in a realistic, bipartisan, solution-driven way of how to deal with that. It just is out to get certain people, out to ignore facts and grandstand for the media, and I'm very disappointed, and I think that we need to get back to what do we need to do to make the Department of Natural Resources responsibility with public waterways something that can actually have some public confidence. And this report was a long way from ever getting there.
I think we'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Senators, the top recommendation in that majority report was to transfer the water testing powers from DNR to the health department. Do you agree with that recommendation?
A recommendation like that, it needs to be very, very seriously looked at. Of course, everybody's underfunded. That's going to cost some money. I personally think that the water testing should stay in the Department of Natural Resources in some sort of a collaboration on public health issues with the Department of Health. But that's not just on the face of it, that's a great solution. That needs to be looked at. But the main thing is that wherever it goes, it's going to have to be funded.
They're proposing just shifting the FTEs over there.
Well, that doesn't solve anything if you don't have funding for a program to do the work.
Senators, what about the other two? Do you agree that it should be transferred to health?
I think it is an issue that needs to be looked at. But when you're transferring the FTEs, when DNR spoke at the committee hearing, they talked about having the funding to do a good report, not just for Lake of the Ozarks, if you remember during the committee hearing, but a lot of the streams and rivers that a lot of people canoe on. So there is no ability, whether it's DNR or Department of Health, to do adequate studies of the water quality because there is no funding to do it.
Is there any issue with the quality of the water testing that was done, or is the issue mainly with the communication of the results of that water testing?
Yeah, what we need to be real clear about, this water testing program was a result of a settlement with Ameren to do a 5-year quality of water, what's the word, bacteriological study of, it was not a public reporting system. if we're gonna have a public reporting system on the quality of water, we need to have one, not some limited time, 5 months a year. $15,000 a year relied largely on volunteers. That's not a serious professional study that the public should have confidence in over time. So the fact that this has been distorted into this is the state's reporting to the public on the quality of the water at the Lake of the Ozarks is absolutely false, and should not ever have gone down that road to give that absolute misleading at best impression.
I think I always try in life as I've gotten older to try to take the best of every situation. And what I have said on this entire issue is it has brought the water quality at the Lake of the Ozarks to the forefront, because it has never been discussed as well as those studies, if you look in our report back in 2007 and 2006. So I see this study with the agreement of Ameren UE to work with the people at the lake, is after 5 years, they can let the public know that there is a water quality issue. We do need some type of statewide plumbing code. We do need some adequate testing done down there, and we need to deal with a lot of these developers in the poor installation of septic tanks throughout the Lake of the Ozarks. Nobody is trying to solve the problem. I see this as a continuation of publicizing the problem. If you want to solve the problem, figure out a way to fund adequate studies that the public can be made aware of, and do something with the inadequate implementation of quality standards for septic tanks at the Lake of the Ozarks.
On the funding,
Senator Justice, I just didn't get to hit your answer to that question I'd asked you. Do you support the transfer of the water testing to health or keeping it at DNR?
I think all options need to be on the table right now, and we need to be discussing all of them. I think the point that the senators were making earlier is that can't be the only answer. We've got to get all of these answers out there. And the one thing that we weren't given the opportunity to do was to even weigh in on it.
on the funding issue, the DNR leadership has said we need, our funds are going broke, we need more money, but the governor's office won't let them seek a fee increase. Are you disappointed in that?
Well, I think the one thing the governor's office that I was impressed with was going to the local communities and offering grants so that they can redo their septic systems and their sewer systems throughout the lake in other areas. To give you an example, just so you know, there have been communities at the Lake of the Ozarks that have taken this initiative upon themselves. The city of Osage Beach about 10 years ago did some type of funding mechanism to create a sewer system down at the lake in the city of Osage Beach because they knew that there was a quality issue or a water quality issue down there, and to deal with the septic tanks in that city. But has the entire region of Lake the Ozarks taken that? There's probably some areas that are unincorporated, and there's probably a lot of people down there that does not want government to tell them they need to clean up their septic tanks.
Can I respond to your question,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor? In the Commerce Committee, the chair and vice chair have been very clear, blatantly saying there will be no fee increase. Now, do we want to just get into a fight over that, or we want to try to do some things that might be productive elsewhere? That's been real clear.
Okay. Well, they haven't, no one's even asked, though.
It's been in the conversation all along, and in the committee meeting, the chair said there will be no fee increase.
Senator Green, you mentioned that there need to be tougher regulations for on-site